Do I have any logical thinkers out there? I threw the camera right here on YouTube. Do I have any logical thinkers here? How have things been in your mind lately? Looking at the world, trying to come up with plans. How's that been going? The things you had planned for the future, how's that going? Is everything going according to plan? If you're like a lot of logical thinkers right now, things are really confusing. And if you're not a logical thinker, let me explain, because I can be a logical thinker at times. Logical thinking means you need to kind of make sense of everything. And when you're trying to make sense in a area of confusion, so much information, every time you make a choice or a decision, you're bombarded with other information telling you no. Like, for example, have you ever looked up if eggs are good or bad for you on Google? Have you ever looked up if spinach is good or bad for you? Have you ever looked it up on Google? Because what you'll find is half the internet says it's horrible and it's the reason that you're going to die early. Other reasons, research shows that it's the reason for longevity. So logical thinkers struggle, and the world has, since we have so much access to so much more information, uh, it can be very confusing right now for logical thinkers. And I want to bring you a little bit of something that will really help you, because lately I've been working with a lot of logical people, and I've never seen more logical people be confused. When you're trying to understand something that doesn't really make sense, it can be frustrating. And when you're in a frustrated emotional state, it's challenging to make a decision. And the confliction that I feel so many people have, and I found myself, I have this sometimes, is that logical thinking has a limit. There's limits on it. So most of the people who only think logically, what ends up happening, and if this is you, let me get an amen in the house, if you're a logical thinker, there's been a cap on everything that's been going on. Because it doesn't make sense to do that. It doesn't make sense to leave your job. It doesn't make sense to travel the world. Even though you're unhappy, but it's a familiar unhappy with a stability paycheck. And that's better than the unknown out there. Even if the unknown is better. Because logically, you have to make sense of everything. And I'm here to remind you the frustration, the sadness, maybe the anger at times you're feeling. Thinking logically is because you're trying to make sense in a place that there's really no making sense the more you know. The more information that's bombarded into you, there's no way to really organize that. And the more stuff that we see on the news, the more stuff that's going everywhere in the world, it's challenging. And I want to offer you a little solution. First of all, join us in the weekly masterclasses on Friday, which you can sign up below. But second of all, I want to just pose you a question. If you could just have a fun moment, like just have some fun, and irresponsible moment right now, and just think illogically. If there were no limits, you didn't care what was going to happen, everything was going to revert back tomorrow to how it is right now. You're going to get starting today, and you can do whatever you like, everything, and tomorrow's going to go back to how everything is right now. What would you start to do? Where would you want to go? And what's the reason you want to go there? Dream kids don't really make sense of logic. I was watching this little kid the other day. They were walking. They just were learning how to walk. It's a friend of mine, the kid's mother. They were just learning how to walk, and there's a step in front of them. And they just walked, and the step was there, and they kind of looked at it, and they just put their foot out, face planted on the ground, crying, everything. They were fine after about 30 seconds, but it looked bad. Their feet were up on the step, and their face and chest were down on the ground, face plant completely. Totally illogical. But she learned something, little girl. She learned something. Maybe can't process what she learned, but us, that's how it is. We need to make sense of the step before we do it, if you're a logical thinker. But kids have illogic. It's why they are able to have this imagination. If you've noticed, if you start to be more logical, would you say that your imagination has grown? Or you really just see really just what's in front of you? And I'm not saying that's good or bad. But you have to think about this. There's this quote that says something like kids are geniuses and they're born with knowing all the answers to the universe, but by the time they get old enough to talk, they've forgotten everything. Kids are like our models for us to learn from and just to have a little bit of fun. Have you noticed how kids can just have fun anywhere? I was watching this documentary in Bangladesh, and these kids are just jumping on this junk pile of trash, liquid under it, so it almost was moving up and down like a waterbed. But they were just laughing, joking. They didn't need to make sense of everything. Like at what point did you need to make sense of every single thing? What happened? You weren't always like that. You weren't always like that. Because with trying to make sense of everything in an unsensible world, it's pretty confusing. And we just tend to just stay in one place, what seems familiar to us. And the more people that I talk to, they realize I actually should be more happy than I am. I should be feeling better than I am. And I should be doing more with my energy in my life. But I'm not. Because to do it would mean I have to step out the realm of logic. I have to step out the world of making sense. So it's better to be unhappy in a familiar place, like I said before, than to maybe strive for happiness in a place that's unfamiliar. But I want you just to think, and I hope this video comes to you at just the right moment, to not think outside the box, to not think inside the box. The simple fact of thinking inside or outside the box by itself means that you actually believe that there is a box. There's only you. It's you. You're the common denominator in everything. Your happiness, your sadness, no, well, it's that person did to me. And it was that person did. Okay, let's take all of your stories, all of your history. Let's draw a line over it. What's the common denominator in all of those? You. We're born being able to think and do anything. Only thing that limits us is the logic, is trying to need to make sense of it before I do it. I need to know the path before I do it. I mean, I'm currently participating in a program. I forgot the name of it, but it's by Eileen Wilder. And she says one of the first steps, and I agree with this, and I do this in my own world and with people I work with, is you have to commit to the destination before you know the path. You have to commit to the destination before you know the path. Logical thinkers need to know the path. And often they need to know the path before they even know the destination. How interesting is that? Not even knowing the destination, but needing to figure the path out, needing to figure out everything. It's a scary thing because you just kind of stay in the loop. Most of the logical people that I've talked to have been on repeat for a very long time. And there's nothing wrong with that, if that's what you want. But people are starting to open their eyes, and I definitely in the past did my best to show the world, to show people what's out there, what is possible. I wish I started sooner. It's funny, everyone watches my YouTube vlogs, and I was doing it way before. like I just started filming it maybe the last 5-6 years, but I was been doing that for 15 years prior to before I ever made a video. Just to be able to see what's possible. Just to see what's possible. So think like a kid for just a little bit. Like what happened to you? Just go back to that space where you could just, everything was possible. You could jump in the river, you could do all these things, and then see where that takes you. And then let's try to look at it from a logical perspective. As is, we have to do this, so let's set up a plan logically to do it. Let's set up a realistic timeline to do it. Not like, let's just try to look at this thing through logic. One of the crazy things is the question sometimes, like, how do I do that? Like, if you know how to do it, you're probably doing it, you wouldn't be asking that question. Maybe that's not the right question to ask. What's going to happen if you don't do it? What's it costing you not doing it? If you guys don't remember, we talk about this as the first thing we say just about in every masterclass. You guys who have been there, you already know. We talk about thoughts. And thoughts are only questions. Think about how many questions you just asked yourself just as I said that. You're asking yourself even more questions. So people are always just going back and forth with questions in their minds. And I believe in just higher quality questions. If you can find a way to ask yourself higher quality questions, what you're going to realize is that you're going to get higher quality answers that take you outside the realm of logic. Because you can just put something on logic to extend it, meaning, oh, we can't jump up there. Okay, that's the question. I can't jump up there. Most of the time, logic just answers with a statement. But what if we phrase the question of like, well, what if I had to get up there and everyone's life depended on it? What would I do? Where would I start? What's the first action I would take? I forgot who it was that said it. Maybe it was Albert Einstein, or can't remember. But he's like, if I had an hour to cut down a tree, I'd spend the first 55 minutes sharpening the axe. And sharpening that axe is just like the question, like formulating the question. It took me a long time to formulate some questions that changed everything for me. I can think of one particular incident where it took me about 8 months to formulate the correct question and to answer it honestly. And this is where I believe, like coaching, that's where I believe that when you're helping people or having conversations, deep conversations, that's what people point out to you. So I'm starting to move into the group coaching world because I realize people ask questions that I never thought of to ask, which means they're going to get answers that I never thought of as answers. So to my logical thinkers, if everything was possible, just for example, and tomorrow everything was going to go back till today, but you had the next 12 hours to start something, to do something, to share something, to go somewhere, to talk to someone, what would it be? Everything's going to go back to how it is tomorrow, so you don't have to worry about that. What would it be? What would you do? Where would you go? What would you say? And I think that would be a beautiful place to start. And yeah, with that being said, I just want the best for you at the end of the day. And I realize that I'm not here to help everybody. It's a realization I've come to a long time ago, but I didn't want to accept it till probably about 13 hours ago, officially. I'm not here for everybody. And trying to convince people that I'm here to help you waste the time for people, takes away time that I could be helping people who have their arms outstretched, needing help right now and willing to accept it. So I hope that this creates something in your mind, stirs something up, rearranges the furniture in your mind, as one of my mentors says. And with that being said, I'll see some of you guys on Friday, and the rest of you, I'll see you in a YouTube video coming up soon. Been a long, crazy, hectic trip. Been traveling a lot and a lot of flights, a lot of canceled flights. Supposed to be 4 flights altogether, and turned out to be around 8. So yeah, with almost two cancellations and 3 delays. So yeah, wasn't filming, but I appreciate you guys. You guys, anyone's here from TikTok, welcome. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.